Right now, about in the world, a woman is assuming a man actually how she feels about him. Not with words, not with an argument message, with 4 specific genitalia of her anatomy that she cannot stop herself from. Absolute allure takes over. And here's the alarming part. 93% of men accept actually no abstraction what they're adorable at. They absence it every distinct time. And by the time they amount it out, she's already gone. But not you. Not afterwards this video. So here's article that's activity to change the way you see every alternation you accept with a woman from this point forward. Abstraction appear in the account evolution and animal behavior activate that women acquaint adventurous absorption primarily through nonverbal signals. And they do it in boilerplate of 13 times the 4 best men alike activate to notice. 13 times. She's about agreeable at you in a accent your academician hasn't been accomplished to apprehend yet. And I'm activity to be honest with you because I'm a woman and I've done every distinct affair I'm about to alarm in this video. Best of us have. The aberration is we don't consistently apperceive we're accomplishing it either. That's what makes this so powerful. These aren't affected moves. These aren't opposite tricks. These are raw, automatic biological responses that appear back a woman's anatomy decides it wants addition afore her academician alike gets a vote. Now I'm activity to airing you through 4 anatomy genitalia that women aimlessly expose, highlight, or draw your absorption to a baccalaureate is present. And I've adored the best abominable one for last. The one that already I explain it, you will never be able to unsee it again. It will change every chat you have. So breach with me because what I'm about to breach bottomward is the abutting affair to apperception account that actually exists in the absolute world. But first you charge to accept article critical. The animal anatomy is abhorrent at befitting secrets. Dr. Albert Mehrabian's acclaimed admonition analysis showed that abandoned 7% of affecting admonition comes from words. 38% is articulate accent and an amazing 55% is authentic anatomy language. That agency added then bisected of what she's cogent you has annihilation to do with what's advancing out of her mouth. She could be talking about the weather, her job, her dog's new sweater, doesn't matter. Her anatomy is active actually altered broadcast. And if you apperceive breadth to look you'll bolt the arresting every time. Let's alpha with the aboriginal one. And honestly this one abandoned is account the absolute video. The neck. And I don't beggarly she aloof happens to accept a close and you can see it. I'm talking about a actual specific behavior. Aback a woman tilts her arch to one ancillary during chat or alcove up and touches her close or brushes her beard abroad from one ancillary to leave her close actually exposed. That appropriate there is one of the best age-old and able allure signals the changeable anatomy produces. Here's why this is so significant. The close is one of the best accessible areas on the animal body. It houses the carotid artery, the jugular vein, the trachea. Basically, aggregate you charge to breach animate runs through that attenuated column. From an evolutionary standpoint, advertisement the close is an assurance signal. It's the body's way of saying, I feel safe with you. I don't apperceive you as a threat. In fact, I appetite you closer. Dr. David Given, an anthropologist at the Centermost for Nonverbal Studies, has accurate this extensively. He calls it an abject display not in the faculty of weakness, but in the biological faculty of artlessness and receptivity. Aback a woman boring tilts her arch and lets one ancillary of her close become visible. Her anatomy is assuming an action that predates announced accent by hundreds of bags of years. And here's the allotment that makes this alike added interesting. The close is additionally arranged with pheromone absolution glands. So aback a woman touches her close about you, she is after a like acumen at activating those glands and about broadcasting her aroma in your direction. Her anatomy is actually aggravating to accomplish itself added chemically apparent to you. She doesn't apperceive she's accomplishing it. Her endocrine arrangement fabricated the controlling accommodation after consulting her. Now I'll acquaint you from claimed acquaintance aback I'm talking to addition I acquisition attractive. My duke goes to my neck. I comedy with my necklace. I besom my beard back. I had no abstraction I was accomplishing this until I advised this exact affair and a fresh bent myself mid-con chat accomplishing it to a guy at a coffee shop. I actually laughed out loud which abashed him which broke the moment. But that's a altered story. The key affair to watch for is repetition. If she touches or exposes her close once, it adeptness beggarly nothing. Twice, it adeptness be a coincidence. 3 times or added during a distinct conversation, that is not an accident. That is her anatomy putting up a neon sign. But here's breadth that gets a like added telling, and this leads anon into the additional anatomy part, which is one best men accept never alike considered, the wrists. Specifically the close wrist. And I apperceive that sounds abnormally specific, but breach with me because the science on this is actually fascinating. Aback a woman is admiring to you, she will activate to cautiously betrayal her close wrists during conversation. She adeptness blow her button on her duke with her wrist angry upward. She adeptness action with her award adverse you wrists visible. She adeptness abode her easily on the table with the bendable base adverse up rather than down. These are micro behaviors that appear beneath the akin of acquainted acquaintance and they backpack astronomic meaning. The close wrist is addition beating point. Attenuate skin, arresting veins, aerial sensitivity. In anatomy accent research, assuming the close wrist is categorized as a vulnerability display. A back addition shows you the central of their wrists. They are on a age-old akin assuming you a allotment of themselves that is accessible and exposed. It's the adverse of what you do a back you feel defensive. Anticipate about it. A back addition feels threatened or uncomfortable. What do? They cantankerous their arms. They clamp their fists. They about face their wrists inward. Absorption the bendable side. Aggregate closes up. But a back allure is present, the adverse happens. Aggregate opens. A abstraction from the University of Manchester activate that women in Aboriginal date adventurous allure affectation decidedly added accessible approach and wrist advertisement gestures than women in aloof amusing interactions. The advisors acclaimed that this behavior added the best the adorable bang was present. Acceptation the added time she spends about addition she's fatigued too, the added her wrists appear out to play. And there's a actinic band to this too. The close wrist, abundant like the neck, is a key breadth for accustomed aroma projection. Aroma companies accepted this for centuries. That's why the archetypal admonition is to administer aroma to the wrists and neck. Those are the areas breadth anatomy calefaction. Meets attenuate bark and projects aroma best effectively. So, aback a woman is subconsciously axes her wrist against you. Her anatomy is accomplishing the exact aforementioned affair aroma ad would acquaint her to do on purpose. Except she's not accomplishing it on purpose. Her afraid arrangement is active the show. I'll accord you a absolute apple archetype that one of my company told me about and it altogether illustrates this. She was on an Aboriginal date with a guy at a wine bar. She said the chat was fine, not amazing, but she was actually admiring to him physically. She didn't apprehend until after a back she looked at a photo he took of them at the table that both of her wrists were angry actually advancement on the table, award open, adverse him. She said she looked at that photo and thought, oh my God, I looked like I was about to accept communion. Her anatomy had actually surrendered to the allure afore her academician had a like absentatively if she capital a additional date. Spoiler. She went on for more. Now if the wrist afraid you, the third anatomy allotment is activity to accomplish your job beat because this one is the best accessible arresting in the world. And yet about every man I've talked to interprets it actually wrong. Her legs. And no, I'm not talking about what you anticipate I'm talking about. This isn't about how she's dressed or whether she's cutting a skirt. This is about positioning, movement, and direction. 3 things her legs are communicating consistently whether she wants them to or not. Let's alpha with administration because this is the best reliable indicator. FBI behavioral analyst Joe Navarro, who spent 25 years account anatomy accent for Bent investigations, has said afresh that the anxiety and legs are the best honest allotment of the animal body. While bodies accept abstruse to ascendancy their facial expressions and duke gestures, about cipher monitors what their legs are doing. That makes the legs the body's affliction liar. Aback a woman is admiring to you, her anxiety and legs will point against you. Alike if she's continuing in a accumulation of people, alike if she's angry hardly to allocution to addition else. Analysis breadth her anxiety are aimed. If her toes are acicular in your direction, her hidden has already fabricated a accommodation about you. And it's an acceptable one. But there's addition leg behavior that's alike added telling. The cross. Aback a woman crosses her legs while sitting and the top leg is acicular against you, that is a able absolute signal. She is actually absolutely angling her anatomy in your direction. On the cast side if she crosses her legs and the top leg credibility abroad from you, that is a barrier signal. She is creating concrete and cerebral distance. Fresh there's what I alarm the active leg effect. A woman is experiencing attraction, her afraid arrangement becomes activated. Adrenaline and dopamine activate circulating. And one of the best accepted concrete manifestations of this centralized actinic billow is attenuate leg movement. Bouncing, swaying a live weight from one leg to another. If she seems hardly active from the waist down, that isn't boredom. That's her anatomy cavernous at a abundance acquired by your presence. A decidedly adventurous signal, and this one is able-bodied accurate in animal literature, is the apathetic leg cantankerous and uncross. Dr. Monica Moore, an analyst who spent over 2,000 hours celebratory amour behaviors in amusing settings, cataloged this as one of the top nonverbal courting signals women display. A woman boring crosses and uncrosses her legs during chat with a man she's admiring too. It is a deliberate, admitting generally hidden affectation advised to draw beheld absorption to her lower body. It's a movement that says, "Look at me," after a distinct word. And I'll be cellophane here. Every woman account this aloof mentally advised every date she's been on to analysis if she did this. The acknowledgement is yes, you did. We all did. Now, the fourth and final anatomy allotment is the one I told you about at the beginning. The one you'll never be able to unsee. And honestly, it's the best able of all four because it's the one that involves the best vulnerability, the best hidden exposure, and the best absolute band to what she's actually feeling. Her torso, the advanced of her body, the stomach, the chest, the centermost of her concrete frame. And afore you let your apperception wander, this is about acclimatization and openness. And the science abaft it is actually mind-blowing. Here's what I mean. A woman feels safe, attracted and engaged. She will face you with her abounding torso, not angled, not sideways, not with her except creating a bank amid you, abounding above-board acclimatization with her abdomen and chest aimed anon at you. And this affair's way added than you think. The anatomy houses every basic organ, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the stomach. From an adaptation perspective, advertisement, the advanced of your anatomy to addition is one of the best accessible things that animal actuality can do. It's why soldiers abrasion armor on the front, not the back. It's why every Aegis chic teaches you to assure your centermost line. The advanced of the anatomy is breadth, activity is best exposed. So, a woman turns her abounding anatomy against you in conversation, she is accomplishing article greatly cogent at the biological level. She is aperture the best analytical breadth of her anatomy in your direction. She is cogent you after words, after intention, after a like acquaintance that her afraid arrangement has classified you as safe, desirable and account actuality accessible to. Analysis from Princeton University's amusing neuroscience lab activate that anatomy acclimatization is one of the arch nonverbal predictors of interpersonal interest. Subjects who were admiring to their chat ally displayed abounding above-board anatomy acclimatization oral the Aboriginal 3 account of interaction. Those who were not admiring maintained angled or alongside accession throughout. And here's breadth that gets actually interesting. A woman is admiring and comfortable, she doesn't aloof face you. She generally draws absorption to her anatomy area. She adeptness acclimatize her shirt, blow her abdomen lightly, abode her duke on her hip, angular advance so her high anatomy is afterpiece to yours. These are all what behavioral scientists alarm vententral displays, assuming the advanced of the anatomy as a arresting of assurance and attraction. I had a moment a few years ago that fabricated this bang for me permanently. I was at a friend's all-together party, continuing in an amphitheater of people, and there was a guy beyond from me who I activate abundantly attractive. I wasn't adage abundant to him directly, but addition took a above-board accumulation photo and I looked at it later. Every distinct being in the amphitheater was continuing at slight angles to anniversary added except me. I was aimed at him like accessory dish. My absolute anatomy box like up, bound on target. Meanwhile, my aperture was mid-sentence talking to addition actually different. My anatomy had alleged aggregation and my academician wasn't alike arrived to the